Okay, time for video 3. If you watch video 2, you know that I've just put in using system.io. This allows us to control input and output devices such as disks and such like, and it's actually that we're going to do in this particular project. We're going to read in a text file after writing the information in the first place. So first of all, I'm going to remove the integers I put in my last video because we don't need those. I'm going to go to the design page and I'm going to add two buttons. 1, 2. I'm going to find my properties window, which is still over here. I'm going to show it all the time and hide my Solution Explorer now. Button 1 is going to be called bn read text file in the text of the button. And my second button is going to be called button write, bn write, and I'm going to call it write text file. Now you may notice the text doesn't appear totally on the buttons because the buttons are too small, so I'm going to just increase the size. I can use the auto align features to automatically align them all as I wish. Now the text I'm going to write is going to come in from a text box, so I'm going to put in a text box now. Call this text work. This is going to be a very simple word processor. And then what we're going to change, first of all, is set multi-line to true. This means that instead of being just one line of text like this, I can now stretch my box down to be as long as I like. Now form 1 isn't a good name for a form on the text, so I'm going to make this very simple text writer, which gives what it is. And again, I'm going to set the start position to center screen on this one because I want it to appear in the center of the screen when I load it up. So let's turn these buttons the other way around, shall we? Because we obviously need to write our text before we read the next in. So how do we write text? Right, I'm going to double click on my button to bring in the code. To write the text from the object, I'm going to create something called a stream writer object. And I've got to give it the name of the file to write to. Now in this case, I'm just going to write it into the same folder that I currently find my program in. I could actually bring up a dialog box and do all of that sort of thing. We're not going to do that just at the moment. I might save that for the next video. So, how do I write the text? I simply call the write property of SW, or the write method, it's not a property. And what I want to write in is everything that is within my textwork.txt. The most important thing you must remember is to close your stream writer object after you've opened it. If you do not close it, if you forget that line of code, that file will be locked as if it's being edited and you won't be able to delete it from your operating system until you restart your computer. Now to read the file, it's just as simple. Instead of stream writer, we're going to bring in a stream reader object. And in this case, again, it's going to be the same test file that we've just created. And this time, instead of writing to the file from the text box, I'm going to load in. And I could just read it in a line at a time if I wanted to. Just like I could actually write the line at a time as well. But in this case, I'm going to read everything in one go. And just the same, I need to close it because otherwise the programming system, the operating system, won't know that that file is finished being used. Simple as that. So let's run it and see what happens. Nice piece of simple text. I click the write text button. No errors came up. I'm going to assume that's worked. How can I actually check? Well, I'm going to close the program down, find my program in Solution Explorer, and I can now actually go into the folder that that program exists in. So I open the folder in Windows Explorer, and it's within the binary debug. The reason for that is this is in debug mode at the top of the screen, so I can test that my code is working correctly, and it's rendered my code into an executable file which is put in the binary directory. Sure enough, there's a file that we've created, test.txt. If we open up, there's the text that we wrote. So it has created the text file automatically because it couldn't find the name as it stood. So if I run the program again, and now click read text file, it brings the text file in. Now what's going to happen if I add this bit to the bottom and I write the text file now? Absolutely nothing. Did it work? There's only one way to find out. Let's go back and have a look. Go back into our binary directory, go back into debug, there's our text, and it's added it. But notice there was no warning that we're going to overwrite the file that we've just put in with the existing one. That isn't automatic. You actually need to specify in your own code if that file exists to make sure that you don't overwrite something you don't want to. Simple as that. So for the next video, we're going to extend this to be able to load any text file and write to any text file using dialog boxes.